All right, guys. I know you're not here to see my beautiful face, but we have the 8S Outcast right here, and I want to go through some things I enjoy about this truck, some of the issues other people have reported, and the one that I had right out of the box, everyone else was reporting, and the ones I didn't have. So let's get started. If you're like me, this is an afterthought. My Kraton 8S came with a dead RXTX in the box, and so I just never used the stock one. I know they got a lot of flack on the stock RXTX in the first version of the Kratons. I use my DX5C, and it's an awesome radio. Highly recommend people taking a look at the DX5C or DX5 Rugged. Both of those are really good. Arrma upped the radio game for this one with the DX3. You do have a little bit of control here. You got steering rate, brake rate, steering trim, throttle trim, and you've got your standard throttle limitations here. You can reverse steering and throttle. It looks like there's a battery gauge there. That's interesting. So definitely a better radio. It's got a nice foam wheel. The other one was all plastic. Definitely a better radio than what they had before. But again, I'm not a big fan of the Spectrum RTR radios, but I will give this a try. I won't go straight to my DX5C. I'm willing to give this DX3 a try. It may pleasantly surprise me, and we'll see if it's better than the previous RTR Arrma radios. But yeah, it feels better than the one that came with my Kraton. I think that was an STX something, STX2 maybe, or STX3. Definitely has a better feel. Feels a little more quality, so we'll see. It has more features. So I'll give that a go and maybe do a review on that after the fact. So first things first, we have to admire this stunning body and detail that Arrma did. I mean, right from the faux screw heads here on the fender flares to the door handles. I mean, this faux wood trim, this red color. This truck is absolutely gorgeous. And let's go over to this wing here. If you look, we have these screw heads here to protect the plastic. And I'm certain we can get sparks to fly when I flip this thing on its lid. Same thing here. Screw heads all along the rails. The roll bar, more there. So that'll protect the body, hopefully. I mean, this body's never going to look this shiny again. It's kind of sad because it is absolutely a work of art. Kudos to Arrma for designing something so stunningly beautiful here. And also excuse the mess on my workbench here. I got a few projects going on. But yeah, this thing is absolutely a stunningly beautiful truck. So let's look under the lid here, and we'll go over some of the things other people have reported as an issue. Just like the Kraton 8S, it has these body savers, and the clips are on a rubber band of sorts. One little quick detail, I love this. Arrma puts this pretty much, I think, on all of their bodies to remind us of what this hobby's about. This hobby's about having fun and beating the snot out of these cars. So right out of the gate here, same ESC as and servo. Same ESC and servo as the Kraton 8S. The Spectrum Firmware 160, I believe, is the ESC. Same 1250 kV Spectrum 8S motor. Standard connectors for Arrma IC5s. So one cool thing is my Kraton is a V1. My 8S Kraton is a V1, so I don't have this additional bracing down here. Although, I say that, I bought it. I haven't installed it yet because I also need this brace tower to install the new bracing. Has the two-piece upper brace, as well as the latest edition Kraton. So this chassis is well braced. So hopefully that'll reduce the amount of bent chassis that people get. But you know, time will tell. I think people are going to really send these things like we do with XMaxxes. You know, I baby my Kraton compared to what I do to my XMaxx, just because I don't want to bend my chassis, and I've seen so many of them. But let's get back into this Outcast here. I really give Arrma credit on a few things in this design here. This short wheelbase, basically short wheelbase Kraton is stunning. And these tires, look at these tires. I'm hoping to get a set of these for my my XMaxx and my Kraton 8S, because these foams are relatively firm, but yet they're soft enough where I could totally see these things absorbing a lot of impact, and hopefully, again, saving other components by absorbing the impact. Then working our way in from the tires, I know Earl Moorhead had posted an interesting video, and unfortunately, his Outcast had some issues out of the box, and you know, that's unfortunate, especially someone that spends as much time and money in this hobby as he does. It's sad to see that, but I've been lucky enough where I'm not seeing the issue that he had. My diffs, I know it's hard to get in there, my diffs are dry. I don't have any oil coming out of the diffs. Like, I checked all of them, like Earl had. And then my shock shafts also, I don't have any oil around the shocks. You know, they're completely dry. All 4 shocks are completely dry, which is fantastic. Obviously not fantastic for those who had the terrible experience. I think Earl's the seal at the top of the shock shaft here under the cap was not seated properly, and oil was leaking out of all 4 of his shocks, and that's really unfortunate. And especially, you know, he also had wet diffs down here, so his had leaked. Like I said, I've been lucky enough where all of them are dry on mine, so I'm happy for that. And I did mention there was one issue that others had reported that I have experienced, and that is the least, I'd say the least concerning for me. Somebody had reached out to Horizon about this. The 24mm lug wrench that's included with the RTR vehicles. Personally, I don't recommend using any of the tools that come with these RTRs. It's kind of a good faith thing that they put them in. I've broken hex keys. I've had these wrenches broken from the factory. Just looking at this one, you can tell it's not in shape. I mean, it's round on, let's see, this side here is round, and the top here is a little round. And if I try to put this key on the wheel, it doesn't go in. It doesn't bite. I'm sure if I hammered this on, I could straighten it out and get it to fit, but I would never do that. Just use a 24mm socket, and it just goes right in. No concerns at all. I know the person that had posted about it was concerned about spending $900 on an RC truck, and the tools that came with it were no good. I don't know of any RC truck, including my Kratons, my XMaxx, any of them, even of that higher caliber, where I would even use the tools that come with the vehicles. I always use higher quality tools, always use MIP bits. I mean, I know other people have ones that work for them, but I don't like stripping screws, especially on an Arrma. Because my Kraton, I had several screws stripped just by swapping out the pinion gear. Actually, that's the first thing I'm going to do with this thing, is I'm going to put the 23 tooth pinion in there. I'm hoping it's not the same experience I had with my Arrma Kraton 8S. The Loctite was insane. My motor mount from the factory had imperfections in it, so it was jammed. I took the 3 screws out that hold the motor mount. The motor wouldn't slide. I had to pry the mount out to find that there was imperfections in the slide that were causing it to jam. I tried to get the pinion gear off. Whatever that pink or red Loctite they use, I don't think is the standard red Loctite. I could not get the pinion gear off at all using a MIP bit. I heated the screw up. I could not get it out. Ended up stripping it, had to drill it out. Same with the motor, actually. The 2 screws that hold the motor mount onto the motor, the heads just snapped right off. So I'm hoping I don't have that experience. So especially working on Arrma, use quality bits, because Arrma uses some crazy Loctite on everything that they do. I guess it's good and bad in a way. The other thing I would recommend on any RTR vehicle out of the box here is going through and checking all of your screws and everything, making sure everything's tight. I have had many of Arrma's where the pins are not tight down there. I've had A-arms come loose on me. So since then, I have always checked every screw on any RTR vehicle. I've had it on Traxxas too, so not to just put Arrma on blast. So definitely make sure you go through, you know, any RTR, make sure everything is tight and ready to go before you run it. Another thing worth mentioning, these drive shafts are nice and straight, all 6 of them. And the truck rolls beautifully. I know some people mentioned right out of the box they had bent drive shafts. I am fortunate enough where I have not. Unfortunately, some people have. So that's another thing to look for. But overall, I have to say, I am loving this truck. I haven't even put batteries on it yet. And I just can't stop looking at, let this on nice and straight here. I cannot stop looking at this gorgeous, gorgeous body. This paint job is amazing. That wing looks just about right. And underneath the wing here is a pleasant, pleasant surprise. This is a fantastic wheelie bar. Look at this thing. Rubber tires on the wheelie bar. Even the rims, the detail of the rims on the wheelie bar are fantastic. And, you know, if you're someone that runs an XMaxx like I do, I beat my XMaxx hard. And my biggest complaint is the wheelie bar. It sounds terrible. Those plastic wheels, the whole thing is kind of a cheap plastic construction. It holds up, so I can't complain that much, but I hate the sound of it. This, with all the rubber on it, and it's smooth. I mean, it's silent. The Traxxas one makes noise when you spin it. I don't know if there's bearings. I think it might just be a bushing inside. So yeah, I am pleased with the wheelie bar, and I cannot wait to give that a go. Maybe get some standing backflips done, and hopefully get that on video. And we got even some small details below with the license plate numbering. And this truck is beefy. It is very beefy. The control arms, everything is done really, really well. I got to give it to Arrma. I cannot wait to run this thing. Do I think it's going to be the thing that dethrones the XMaxx? I don't know. That kind of remains to be seen. I think that this has potential. I'm sure people are already developing M2C and other aftermarket hardware and chassis for this. But right out of the box, it looks pretty sturdy. And I got to give it to Arrma. I'm impressed with this truck. And I'm almost afraid to ruin this body. Maybe I should order myself a second one just to have, so I'm not afraid to destroying this one. All right, so I think I'm going to show you guys some comparisons now of the Outcast 8S, the Kraton 8S, and the XMaxx 8S. I have all 3 vehicles. As you can tell, I love large RC cars. We'll show some size comparisons. And hopefully I'll get some batteries in this thing in the near future, and we can actually get some runs on it and show some comparisons that way. So we're looking at 3 of the most badass RC trucks money can buy. And as you can tell, all relatively similar in size. It looks like the Outcast is the shortest. Get in there. Not by much, actually. It looks like it's about an inch shorter than the Kraton and the XMaxx. But again, all still relatively similar vehicles in size. And I'll do a width comparison shortly. Let's see if we can see ground clearance well here. I know the Kraton and the XMaxx are very similar in ground clearance. And it looks like the Outcast is about the same. My XMaxx has a skid plate on it, so that's what you're seeing. So there's the width comparison. If I go closer here, you'll see the Outcast and the Kraton are just about the same width. I mean, I would say less than ½ an inch difference at most. And if you go there, and then pan over to there, yeah, it's very, very minimal, very close in size. If we go back to the XMaxx here, yeah, hard. I should flip it around and we'll take a look at that, but definitely wider than the XMaxx. Again, not by a ton, but definitely somewhat wider. Probably I would say maybe an inch, but I'll flip it around and we'll get a better look. So with the two trucks nose to nose, it is much more telling. Actually, I would say the Outcast is several inches wider than the XMaxx, probably 2. Looks like about an inch on either side. You can tell they're pretty much lined right up with each other there. And yeah, I would say about an inch on each side wider. So I'd say the Outcast is about 2 inches wider than the XMaxx, but about the same as the Kraton. Some people mentioned that they thought the Outcast was looking small compared to the 6S. It wasn't as bigger than the 6S as I thought it was going to be. I don't have an Outcast 6S, but I have several Maxes. So to give you an idea, here is a bone stock Traxxas Max. And I mean, the Outcast is essentially very similar in size to the XMaxx. As you can see, there's a huge difference in the two vehicles. So definitely bigger, and I know the Outcast 6S isn't a lot bigger than the Max. So I also have here something interesting and unique. This is a Team Magic 4SF Desert Buggy. A ton of fun. This thing tears up so much dirt, and it is fast. I recently took this thing out to a dirt track and drew a crowd. And then, you know, there was a huge field right outside the track. It was an outdoor track, and I just ripped across the field, and everyone, I mean, so many people were just in shock at how fast this thing was. I do have another one. Thinking about doing kind of an unboxing video and going over this car here. It is absolutely insane. Let me know if you guys are interested in seeing something like this. I know there aren't a ton of these sets around, so I'd love to unbox it. So if you're interested, leave a comment below, and hopefully I'll get together an unboxing video for it soon. Also coming up here, I've got an 8S Limitless build I just completed. I have not full speed run it yet. I've only played around with it a little bit in the out in front of my house. So I've got a couple of spots where I can take it. So probably in the near future, we're going to get a video of this thing, hopefully well over 100 miles per hour. I have it geared relatively conservatively, but it is 8S, so we'll see what it does.